Good afternoon, everybody, and welcome to our webinar this afternoon on how to hit your goals for 2026. It is wonderful to have you all on. Hi, Anita, Melanie, Jody. School's out. So, hey, good to have you all on. And we are also streaming live. Vlad's coming on too. Great to have you all here. We will start at the top of the hour. So do have your pens and paper ready. Screens on. We will have Q&A time as well at the end. So I strongly suggest that you utilize that as well. Remembering we can interact in the chat. We will be asking for interaction. If you don't know where that is, it's down the bottom of your Zoom screen. Hey, Tom, now I know school's out. There we go. All good. Much better. Fantastic. So it is wonderful to have you all on. So how about we get ourselves underway? I will hand it over to you, Gary, while I'm letting a few more people in.
You are welcome. Thanks for joining us, folks. Let's get started. We like to start on time. So, welcome to How to Hit Your Business Goals in 2026. This is going to be a game changer for you with your businesses because so many businesses don't have it. If you have an existing business, just put a thumbs up in the chat, please. If you have an existing business and you have been trading already, put a thumbs up in the chat, please. So just go to down the bottom and put a thumbs up for you if you've got an existing business and you've been trading. And yeah, beautiful. Thanks, Anita. Thank you for dropping that in there. Tom, I can see you've done that as well as using the emojis for us. Thanks, Melody. Great. So importantly, if you do have the existing business and you've got access to your revenue monthly numbers from 2025, that's going to come in super handy when we demonstrate a tool to you very, very soon. So if you could make sure you've got your revenue numbers handy, that you can access them, I'm going to walk you through a little bit later on a tool that's going to help you set some targets that you will have as stretch targets, but you're actually going to be able to believe in because they are going to be based in a level of reality. And that's one of the biggest problems with a lot of people's goals is they are not based in reality. So you have Alison Wheeler and I will just spend a moment explaining who we are. Alison, did you want to go first?
For sure. So I am, it's Alison Wheeler. Hi, everyone. For those of you who have never met me before, I'm based on the Gold Coast here in Australia, originally from New Zealand, but you may hear not much accent left because I've been here for a while. But all my family's over there, and I am based here with my family. I am a mum, a wife, a dog mum, and I have been coaching for upwards of 14 years. We'll say that really quietly. So for a little while now, I've been coaching people to create more success in their business. My original background's as an occupational therapist, worked a lot in vocational rehab in those areas, which exposed me to a lot of culture and a lot of businesses that weren't doing the right thing by people. So that's where a lot of my experience has been grounded in as well. I am also been a professional athlete, author, and I am one of only two 10X performance coaches in Australia with Grant Cardone, and the other one happening to be on this webinar as well, which is Mr. Gary Ryan. So that is just a quick snippet about me, so you have some idea of who you're talking to.
Great work, Alison. And I've been in now in February. My business goes into its 20th year. We'll have our 19th birthday, so we'll go into our 20th year of coaching. So I have been doing this game for a very long time. Had the great pleasure of meeting Alison Wheeler several years ago, and we aligned so much that we decided to come together and co-facilitate the Scale Fast program 2026. Me being the second person to be hired by Grant Cardone and his 10X team to outside of North America to coach his clients around the world. So Alison and I both have the privilege of coaching business owners right around the world from all the major continents, which is a great exposure to us and our skill sets. And we're able to share the information through our licenses that we learn through that extraordinary learning and world that we do within 10X and the Grant Cardone community. And we are able to share it with our members of the Scale Fast program, of which we've got a few here who are our VIPs here today because all of our members get VIP access to all of our webinars that we're going to do. Now, just briefly, and I'll throw back to Alison Wheeler, just a couple of quick stories. This is David. So David joined our Scale Fast program in July of last year, and he'd been in business in his financial planning services business for 10 years. And between July and December, David had 3 of his best revenue months ever, including December, which was normally a very, very quiet month for him, being his best month ever by 3 times. So he 3x'd his best ever month. If you join the Scale Fast program, you'll get to meet David. And look, we're very clear. Our intention when we show the offer later on is to have you come and join that program with us. You'll find it's unbelievable value. That is our intention. And in between, we're going to give you some great, useful content for you to use on your business as we go. And secondly, this is the incredible Zach Purvis. He is one of my clients that when we first started, as many people do, his original intent was to match the salary that he was earning at the time, which was $30,000 a month. We quickly changed that. And the reason why we changed that target, which Alison's going to go into a little bit more detail about this as well soon, was because if he was going to start a business and go and only match what he was earning as an employee, when the government takes about 50% of that money away from you, right, when you're in business and in life, and how much when you add up all the taxes you're actually paying, you got to divide it by about a half. That's how much you really got. Running a business is the hardest thing you'll ever do. It's much harder than being an employee. And if your target is too low, then you will suffer and you will burn out and you will be one of the 20% of businesses that does not make 12 months, or one of the 60% of businesses in Australia and New Zealand that doesn't see 3 years. And those businesses equally generally don't even make a profit. You don't want to be those people. We don't want you to be those people. And so with Zach, I helped him correct his goals. Now, he has not once got a $30,000 revenue month. His first month was $60,000, and in December he got $315,000. That's actually a 10x reality, right? That he got. Alison, did you want to share some of the experiences you've had with your clients?
Of course. So I will quickly share. This is Brennan and Kaylin. So they they have a personal training business. They were working full-time jobs. Been working with them for a little while. We've been able to triple their income from where they were. And just to put perspective on that, they actually live in a very small town. So tripling their income in a small rural town is something quite amazing. And they've just opened their second business. They've now opened a food truck, which is just going absolutely berserk. So super excited for them. I also wanted to share, this is Josh. So he has been able to increase his revenue by 35%. His best month now was most recently, actually, since this one was done, $317,000 in revenue in a single month. And when we started, he was in around about 150. I think he'd been up to 200, was about his highest month. And he's in insurance. So all walks of life, all backgrounds, we know that these principles, when you apply them and you have the accountability to apply them, pursue them consistently, we know that they produce results. And we also know that one of the hardest ways, Gary was saying that running a business is tough. It actually is. It's much more tough than a job because it's way more confronting. But we also know that the hardest way to run a business is stopping and starting. You are better off doing something small consistently than doing big things not very often. Right. So consistency really, really counts when it comes to business. So, but there's some client testimonials.
And Alison, I touched on the point about the reason why big goals are important. So right now, before we dive into your targets for 2026, Alison's just going to walk you through why your ultimate revenue goal should be a number that right now you're literally scratching your head going, I'm not sure how I'm going to hit that. Over to you, Alison.
Sure. So does everyone actually have a goal? Let's just start there. Have we got a goal for 2026? Can we please put a Y or an N in the chat? Yes, you do, or N, you don't. Let's have a look. We've got a few Y's coming through. Excellent. So I would say about half of you have put a Y. Oh, a bit more than half of you have put a Y. So hopefully the rest of you are still awake. Michael was an I and I wasn't sure, but now you're a Y. Excellent. Helen and Oliver, you're a what? Good. Excellent. So we've got a lot of Ys. Good. Are they on paper or are they just in your head? Right? Because if it's just in your head, it's a very nice idea. It's not actually a goal. We have to extrapolate that out. It needs to go on paper. And I really want you to take a good hard look at that goal. Is that goal actually going to change your life? Now, I hear this a lot, particularly in Australia, is I just want to stay, I want to keep it the same. I just want to keep it the same, maintain. Well, I hate to tell you, but that's impossible. Maintaining is impossible. It's a fallacy. There's no such thing as being able to maintain because cost of living goes up, taxes go up, wages go up, everything goes up. If you just want to maintain your business at the same revenue level, your profit margin is going to get eaten away faster and faster and faster, and you're going to suddenly realize why your business has no money in it. We need to stretch our goals. The other side of it as well is I encourage you all to put an extra zero on the end of your goals. Now, for a great deal of you, that might make you feel extremely uncomfortable to put a zero on the end of your goals. Good. Because the reason being is that the thinking that has got you here is not going to get you to that goal. And if we just approach it with the same approach we did last year, we will get the same result. We have to pivot. We have to change approaches. And one of the best ways to do that is to increase the target, increase the goal, so that we have forced to look at it from a different perspective. It will enforce this different perspective. It also then goes into who do I need to be in order to hit that target, right? Who do I need to become? Do I know anyone who's hitting that target? How are they doing it? What are they doing? Can I model, mimic, master? And it isn't just your business goals, guys. It's across all areas of your life. Have goals in all areas of your life at a 10x level. Now, if you have a weight loss goal, let's be real, we can't keep 10xing that because you need a body to live in, right? Like that's not quite what I mean. So just to preface that. But you do want to get to a certain level, right? And then, what other health goals are you going to add in to that so that you hit that goal? So really important to have it across the different areas. Now, why is it important, do we think, anyone in the chat, why do we think it's important to have it across different areas of our life, not just one? Anybody in the chat? Yep. So we've got, one influences the other, consistency, because we have to have balance. Well, I agree with some, to Anita, what you're saying, but balance as a business owner, I don't know if there is such a thing, right? It's called a mingling of things. I don't know that, because imagine balance, right? There is this fallacy of we want work-life balance. But think of a seesaw. When it's in balance, it is not moving. And life is a constant. It's always moving. So generally we want a work-life blend, but what we're really saying when we want work-life balance is we want to have time for the priorities in our life. But if you don't have goals around those priorities in your life, then you will not have targets and you won't take actions towards them. It's just then what I would call a counter-intention. It's just eating away at you and pulling you away from the focus on your goals because it's something you think you should do. I should have this, I should be doing it this way. And it pulling you constantly in the opposite direction if we have this tug of war. Nothing worse than having a tug of war. It's such a waste of energy. We want all of your energy going towards your goals and targets. And the other reason is that's super important is because if one area of your life isn't working, it will pull the other ones down eventually. So it is important. So for example, I'm sure you've all heard the stories. If you are not actually aware of, someone, I'm sure, or you're not had a personal experience, I'm sure you've heard of someone, they're working their tail off and then they have a heart attack because they didn't pay any attention to their health, right? So that health goal's now pulled their income goal right down and vice versa. We need to plan for adversity. A 10x goal allows you a big enough buffer to also plan for any level of adversity. It's like putting stacking up extra money in the bank in order to have, your war chest. Right now, that can happen in finances, that can happen in a relationship. Like, have you got credits in your relationship, or are you running that thing dry too? Right? We need to build credits everywhere. Do you have credits in your house? Do you eat well 95% of the time? So when you eat badly 5% of the time, it doesn't make a dent. Or do you eat badly 85% of the time? So the 15% you eat well really makes no difference whatsoever. Right? So how are you stacking credits? And 10x is about, let's stack lots of credits. Let's push those goals. And one thing in this mindset is never lower the target. We increase our level of activity in order to get there. And you might not know how you're going to get there yet. Doesn't matter. You might look at your goal and go, there's no way I can do that on my own. Great. You have just discovered you are going to have to expand to have a team. Fantastic. You might have discovered that to get there, you need to change your price points. You need more customers. Fabulous. You're actually now discovering the very next step of the thing that you need to do. And the other thing is align your goals with your purposes. So why? And we will talk a lot about money. I just assume we just work on the premise that all of you have a bigger goal than just money. Right? That money is going to go towards a good purpose. But if we don't talk about money, we can't get to those bigger purposes. So make sure that you're aligning your goals with purposes. So if you want to earn $1 million, great, but why? What for? How are you going to better yourself and the community and the people around you with that goal? Because that's what's also going to drive that goal forward when it gets tough. And it will. You'll run into roadblocks, things will get difficult, you'll want to quit, all that stuff. Maybe you'll want to do that many times in a day. It's not about how many times you want to quit, it's how many times you continue on. So that is a little bit of a framework around the thinking behind the importance of 10xing your goals. It's like an accelerant. Because if you don't have a goal that's actually going to change your life, we will probably, if you haven't already, that's why they have Quitters Day on the 9th of January, because most people make a New Year's resolution and by the 9th of January, they've already stopped. It's just not big enough to change their life. Don't be a Quitters Day. And Quitters Day can happen not just on the 9th of January, right? You can have your own Quitters Day at any time. Get back on the horse and put those action steps in. Gary, back over to you.
Yeah, incredible research from Forbes on that one about how by that second Friday of every new year, New Year's resolutions and goals have already gone out the window, folks. So we don't want to have you be that. We don't want to be that ourselves. So,
and just one other quick tip, sorry, Gary, is with your goals, one of the other principles we have in 10X is write them out every single day, every morning. Write out your goals. And you may think, what a pain. It takes 2 minutes. Get up, have a notepad by your desk, write them in the context of I am, as if you've already achieved them, because you cannot focus on the past and the future at the same time. And if you keep putting your future out there, your mind all of the time is going to work in the background to figure out how you can do it. But it's that I am determined to place my future there every day. Every day. It's what you're committing to. It's you're refocusing yourself on that goal every single day. And then if you have a loss, write them out again. So there is no limit to the amount of times you can write this out. Back over to you, Gary.
100% Alison. So, folks, we're going to quickly walk you through the 7-step business system model, of which your goals and targets are, in fact, the first step. But we're going to set the context for that. Then we're going to come back and walk you through a tool to help you with your real numbers from 2025. Use these 10x principles to set targets for 2026, and then look at your offers and how you can apply them to those numbers so you can see, hey, I can actually do this. All right. We're going to make it all make sense as we go through. So definitely have your pens and notepads ready as we go through. So as we've just started with in our 10x business system, the first step is targets. Having targets that ultimately you're working off your big, beyond more than 1 year 10x target, and then we're making sense of that for 2026. Also, every single time you do something new, you should have targets. Alison and I, when we decided to have this webinar, we decided on a target of a date. We set a target of the number of participants we wanted to have, etc., etc. Every time you do something new, you set new targets. And as I've just explained, dates can be dates can be targets. Marketing. Money follows attention. Whether you like it or not, we are now in the personal branding age. And in fact, have been in it for about 15 years. It's the personal branding age. We're also in an AI age. If you think about it, how many people know Oprah, richest woman in the world, but you don't even know what businesses she runs? I can sure I've asked that question to a lot of people. What businesses does Oprah run? They go, I don't know. She used to have a show, but she's got so many businesses, but people don't know about them because they know about Oprah. People know Richard Branson more than they know Virgin. People know Elon Musk more than they know Tesla. We are in the personal branding age. So one of the things that you have to do is you have to get attention through marketing. You got to do your marketing. You got to get attention because money follows attention. In fact, marketing is senior to sales. If you want to get sales, you need to do marketing. In fact, best known will beat best. Best known will beat best every day of the week. Alison?
And a quick one, marketing is all encompassing. It doesn't just mean paid. So this is organic, inorganic, paid, unpaid. That's in everything, right? There are many, many, many ways to get attention and market yourself. Promotion. And a lot of people take too long to get out there and promote themselves. Like they make that not their priority. They try and build their products and build everything else first. It's the speed at which you can get to market that's going to make your business, and the number of products you can sell and the speed at which you can get them to market that's going to make or break your business. So marketing has to precede this. So if you have a new product or something, go to market before you're ready. Right? There's pre-sales. Why do you think so many places have pre-sales? Amazon has had that many failed products. You would, like, if you start to research, it's very interesting. You just don't hear about it because they take it to market so quickly. It fails, they get rid of it, they trial another one. So they're willing to test and measure. Now we're involved in the 10X world and we see this at a rate like I've never seen in any other company that I've ever been involved in. They will take something to market so fast and so rapidly, and they're building it on the way down because they know that's what it takes. Right. So it's and it makes most people very uncomfortable to do it this way. Start marketing before you're ready and make promotion and marketing the highest of priorities at the moment because you're cutting through a lot of noise.
Along those lines, so the idea to target, imagine that these are dominoes. You want the dominoes to be really close, folks, right? So you've got your business idea, you've got a new thing that you want to do for your business, throw it out into the marketplace, get some attention for it, do some marketing, let people know. There may be someone on this call that's got a business idea. They threw it out to their local community, got 566 responses on a Google Doc form in a 36-hour period, folks. Their business doesn't even exist yet, but they've got some validation about the business idea. They've got great market research because they had the courage to throw the idea out and get some marketing for it. All right. Not worrying about will someone else see this and steal my idea. You're already miles ahead of the other people. You're miles ahead of them already. Okay. So, it's really important that you get those dominoes really quickly together. We spend a lot of time on that. Next, you've got to capture leads. So you've got to know what a lead is. And in really simple terms, a lead is anyone that you can communicate independently and directly with. So that might mean it's an Instagram handle. You don't even know their real name, but you can communicate with them via DM independently and directly. Now, they might not be a qualified lead yet. So there's degrees to leads, but a lead is anyone that you can communicate directly with, and you want to be capturing as many as you possibly can. And we teach you methods around how you can go and do that. Then you need to be nurturing those leads. You need to be communicating with your leads to get them in the situation where you can have a sale. Now, what most people don't understand is that only 1% of sales happen at the first interaction, meaning the first time they walk into your store or the first time they visit your online website or your landing page or whatever. Only 1% of sales happen then. 80% of sales happen between now the 15th to the 40th contact.
And an additional stat on that, Gary, as well, as 63% of buyers aren't ready when they first inquire with you. 63% are not going to buy with you. They're not ready. So we need to remember all of these statistics so that we realistically know what to do with a lead.
And that then means for step 4 of the wheel with lead management, it's one of the most important things you need to be doing with your business. And what this also means is that for those of you with existing businesses, you're already leaving most likely a lot of money on the table, because you'll have people that you've sold to and you haven't communicated with for ages, and yet they're waiting for you again, or you haven't swung the bat with them again, or you had people that you followed up 3 times with and then you stopped because they didn't respond, but you only three follow-ups only gets you to 3% of sales. You left 97% of sales on the table by stopping at the third follow-up. And you didn't know that. It's not your fault. You didn't come along to something like this to learn this data. And the reality are, and maybe it's because of AI, these numbers are getting higher. You've got to do more and more follow-up work, more and more lead management work to get in the position to do sales. And whenever you do get those sales that happen fast and quickly, you really appreciate them in business now, right? You really, really appreciate them because they do matter so much. Okay. So the next step, Alison, is
So when we've done lead nurturing, it's sales. How are you going to collect the money? What is, like, it's simple. Like, how are people paying you? What's your sales process, right? Sales, we have a very simple 5-step sales system that we teach. You want to know what your sales system is. What are the steps in your sales process? Are you even asking for the sale? Most people don't even see themselves as salespeople. If you're a business owner, you have to sell something or you'll go broke. So guess what? You're a salesperson, right? And the faster you can adjust to the fact you're a salesperson, the better, because then you'll have a willingness to learn how to actually sell and understand the 5 steps of a sale and the 7 rules you need for closing a sale. Like, there's all these things that to learn so that you can actually be really good at sales. So sales, again, it's a process. Understand the steps of the process so that you can have certainty when you're moving someone through that process. But a lot of people aren't ready for the sale. They don't have, if you have a contract, they don't have DocuSign set up so they can immediately send it over to someone. They don't have payment links set up. Like, how is someone actually going to pay you? It might sound so simple, but know your process. Know your process. And then if you don't understand sales and you don't know sales, or you don't like sales, you've probably got a lot to learn, right? And I've been doing, before I joined learning 10X principles, I've been doing sales for a long time and I made a lot of money. And then when I learned 10X principles, I realized how bad I was at sales. I would have made many more millions had I understood and known the principles and been applying them as to what I know now. So there are a lot to learn, but the principles are actually really quite simple when you actually learn them. So that's the sales part, basically the conversion of the lead into the dollars.
and with sales, thank you, Tom, for saying thumbs up that you're okay calling yourself a salesperson. The negativity around that word is a problem for a lot of business owners because they don't like to call themselves marketers and they don't like to call themselves salespeople because of the negativity around the image of the used car salesperson who has damaged it for a lot of people. However, the reality for all of us in business is if we are not able to sell, we will not make the money we want to make. We will therefore not get to serve the world in the manner that we have a duty to serve the world. And the first sale is actually to yourself. You have to be sold that you know that you are going to deliver, that you're going to make a positive difference for your clients and customers, and it's worth doing business with you. You have to be so convinced about that that you can be unreasonable in your pursuit of getting a sale. Now, what do I mean by that? My wife, when she first met me, told our close friends that she wasn't going to come within 40 feet of me. We got married in 1996. Do the math. It's 2026 this year. We have 5 children. Probably the biggest sale of my life. It took 6 months, right? But I had to sell myself to her, right? Even though she actually said, I'm disinterested. She said she was disinterested. So maybe even when someone tells you in business they're disinterested, it's still a level of interest. I've experienced that with the most important relationship in my life. My kids are pretty happy I persisted. Right. So one of the things we have to do is work on our mindset. You'll see that we do a lot of work around 10x mindset to help us be comfortable with labeling ourselves things like marketers and salespeople. We're actually on a mission to actually get the word sales back to the point where people can be comfortable with it, right? Be comfortable with the word selling. And if any of you have any children, they're the best salespeople in the world, by the way, especially when they're little. Any little toddlers, put a Y in the chat if you've got a toddler, a 3-year-old, a teenager. If you're a parent of any, there we go. We've got a couple of things. So it's really important that you understand that, get our head around sales. Next is sales management. That's fundamentally everything you do to invest back into your business. It's hiring people. It's how you train people. It's everything you do for your systems and processes in your business. So while it says sales management, it's really about the business investment, the business management. It's paying for your landing pages, your websites, your brick and mortar, if that's what you got. It's everything to do with your investment back into your business to help you to grow. And all of these 6 steps are required for you to be able to scale. If you miss any of these steps and you try to scale, you'll fumble and you'll end up costing yourself money. Okay. So this is the fundamental business system that we teach everyone. All of those success stories that Alison and I shared at the start are people who have applied that model to their business. We know it's working in 95 countries in the world. Alison and I have the privilege with our colleagues every week of seeing the success in different countries, different businesses. There literally is not a business industry that model does not work for. And we get to expose to have that evidence, and we get to share that with the breadth of people that are in our Scale Fast program and also in our coaching programs. So type in the chat if you'd like to discover the tool that you can use based on last year's numbers to help you set some 10x goals for your business for 2026. Type a yes in the chat, just a Y in the chat if you're ready to go for learning that information. Here we go. Thank you. Thanks, Tom. Thank you, Helen. Thanks, Anita and Oliver. Thanks, Melanie. Yes, let's go. Let's go, Jody. All right, cool. I'm just going to open up this tool. So a little bit of math here, a little bit of math. So just stay with me as we go. All right. So this is a tool that our members actually get. So if you do choose to join us, you will get this tool, right? So over in the left-hand column here, we have our numbers from 2025. So just for the sake of demonstration, I'm going to enter in some numbers here. 5,550 for the month of January 2025. Then the person did 9760. You'll start to see this middle section in red change. It's in red because when you've got the tool, you're not to go and enter any data in there, only enter data into the green sections. 14,777 for March. Then we've got 11,552 for April, 12,732 for May, 14,992 for June. You'll start to see it starts to pick out the best 3 months here. See that? Starting to pick out your best 3 months. July is 19,787. August is 17,211. September, good month, $20,009. That jumps to their best month ever so far. October goes to 18,652. Again, won't worry if your numbers are different, right? Then November is for this person 21,212. So definitely have a calculator ready for yourselves. Thanks, folks. And then 13,216. Right. Now, what it's gone and done is we're going to focus on row 19. And we're going to set a low target to start with. However, that's actually not going to be the target we're going to focus on, but we are going to use these numbers to help with some reality. So the reality is our best 3 months using this example were 21,212, 20,009, and 19,787. So they're relatively close for a total of $61,008 for a quarter, which gave us an average of 20,336. We'll notice that that gives us an annual target of 244,032. Because how the formula works here is we just take the average of our best 3 months. We actually did these 3 months. They're real. We're going to take the average of them and we're going to multiply it by 12. Then we believe that you should have a 90-day target. So you just divide that number by 4. That's going to give you the same as this total here in this low target. Then you should have a monthly target. So you should know, am I on track this month? Well, that creates a monthly target of 20,336. It then creates a weekly target. If we take this number here and divide it by 52, that gives you 4,680. So you know on a weekly basis, how am I tracking? Now, here's the magic. You get to decide how many days per week you're working. In the chat, what's the number for you? Is it 4? Is it 5? Is it 6? Is it 5.5? Is it 6.5? Is it 7? You're working every day you possibly can. You get to choose how many numbers. Okay, so we've got 5.5 for now. We've got 6 there. So we've got a couple of entries in there.
So what we're doing just quickly is this is called reverse engineering your goals. So we're taking the target and we're reverse engineering it all the way down to quarterly, monthly, weekly, daily. That way you know exactly what you need to be doing in order to hit that target. Now, I hope, and it's something with a lot of business owners don't even look at their numbers. They're not tracking. So if you don't have numbers, well, there's lesson number 1. Track your numbers well, right? Whether it's on a spreadsheet, a book, or an accounting software. If you can't confront something, you can't control something you can't confront. If you're not looking at your numbers, and a 0 is a number, you just might not like it, right? So even if it's a 0, that is still a number that needs to be accounted for, because we've got to go, well, why are we getting a 0? So, and we encourage you to be looking at your numbers as a minimum every single week. Right? Every week, what are your numbers doing? Because you can't change it if you're not looking at it, and you can't do anything about it. And it's not 2026 is not a year to bury your head in the sand with your numbers, right? The world is moving too quickly for that.
Yeah, you're in business, folks. You got to track your numbers. It's a simple, like we really emphasize this heavily. And you can talk about your personality, this personality, that. It doesn't matter. Successful people in business have all sorts of personalities, and they track their data, their key data, and they track their numbers. It's as simple as that, right? But you've got to know what they are. So notice as I change this work week, what happens to this daily column over here, and we'll get to the mid target and the high target rows in a second. But watch what happens here when I change this from 6 back to 5, numbers go up. If I change it from 5 to 7, numbers go down, right? Now, when you know what your offers are, which is also what we work out in step 1 of the business system, is getting clear about your offers, you can start to work out, well, how many do I need to sell per day to achieve that number? Now, if you've got a $700 offer, right, and these were your numbers with the annual target of 22244, how many per day do you need to sell if you're working 7 days per week and you've got a $700 core offer? You might have other offers, but you've got this core offer. It's the main thing you sell. It's worth $700. In the chat, folks, how many do you have to sell per day? Who can work out the math? I'll give you a moment. Your daily target's 668.58. You work it every single day. You've got a core offer that's worth $700. How many do you have to sell per day? Just to show the math's not rocket science. What is it, folks? How many do you have to sell? Who can work it out? 1, Melanie, spot on. You got to do 1 a day. Now, you always have to round up because you can't sell 0.978 of a sale. It's either a sale or it's not. So we encourage you always round up. So in this instance, if you were doing, whoops, I've gone and done exactly what I didn't want to do there. Let me just go back, just stop the share. Oops. Back. Okay. Down here, if you wanted to work just 5 days a week, whoops, I did go and stuff up that formula. I will go into the back end and fix that in a second. So you would notice that number would go and change, right? So in the meantime, what we want to do is go and focus on our mid target and above our low target. So where does the mid target come from? That just comes from your best month ever of 21,212 multiplied by 12. And that then gives you the numbers to the 697 per daily figure. Again, if you had a $700 offer, wow, my mid target's actually not so far out of reality here. I could actually do that. With your high target, now this is where you get to create a stretch target that you've never done before, right? You get to create a stretch target that you've never done before, and you get to add a percentage of growth above and beyond the best month that you ever did. So you get to choose above that mid target. Now, who can think of what might be a reason why you might actually want to have some significant growth on that high target. And it's still going to be based on reality because we're going to use that mid target as its base, but then we're going to use a multiple. We're going to maybe grow by 30% more, 50% more. Maybe we want to double it. Who could think of a reason for a business as to why you logically might want to have a significant growth target there? What could be something that you're doing that would justify that and make it real for you? Smarter systems, it could be, yes. If you want to sell, yes, it could be that. Absolutely. But something even more, on one level, even more simple. I just spoke about one core offer. What else might now be happening? What else could you be doing? You might have multiple offers. Maybe you've got a brand new offer. You know, you've learned something, you've packaged something together in a different way, you've come across some different material and you've got this new offer and you're like, I've done some market testing, I know this is going to work. I need to set a target that also includes selling that new offer in addition to my existing offers because I'm not going to drop these either, but I'm going to have this existing offer. So that might be a situation where you might say, all right, I can actually see that this should actually that should be 75% of my previous year's income. So I'm actually going to make that a 75% number here. And all of a sudden, this number jumps to 445,452. My target, my daily target then becomes 1220. $700 is my old offer and $500 is my new offer. I need to be selling one of them each per day and I can achieve that target. This is the way the math can work out for you folks, right? Now, what Alison and I and 10x says is which of these three rows of targets should you actually dedicate your time and attention to? Should you dedicate it to the low target, the mid target, or the high target, folks? Drop it in the chat. What do you think? High, high, high. You folk have got it. Thank you. Spot on. Exactly. You should be dedicating it to the high target. And then everything that you do from your activity levels and coming back to your marketing output should focus on achieving that target on the high target. Now, let's say you don't get there. Alison, did you want to share your story about that from last year?
Yeah, look, absolutely. So I use this exact formula, right? So I use this sheet and this formula as well. And my target, basically I double my revenue just from tracking it and having it and paying attention to it. And long story, right? Like I'm like, all right, I'm gonna hit now. Did I hit my high target? No, I did not hit my high target. I missed my high target. But I'm not that sad about the fact that I doubled, right? Did I make my high target? No. But I think something really important too, Gary, is most of the time you're going to miss your target. You have to get really used to the fact that you're probably going to miss most of your targets. But it's better to have a target and miss it than not have a target at all and hit nothing. You are more likely to hit something when you have a target. Because otherwise you are like, I use this analogy all the time. You're an archer going out onto an archery field with a bow and an arrow. Are you going to be the one that's just shooting arrows everywhere and hoping? Or are you actually going to shoot it towards trying to get a bullseye because you've got a target? Now, who's going to be the more successful archer? The one with a target aiming at the bullseye, or the one standing there with their bow and arrow, letting off arrows everywhere just to see what happens? Think it's fairly self-explanatory. So through monitoring my numbers and having these targets and looking at them daily, and look, I'm sure there are people here who are like me. I don't want to look at my numbers. I don't want to do the math on my numbers. It's not my favorite thing. In fact, it's like fingernails down a chalkboard for me, but it's part of business. And to be successful in business, whether I like it or not, I need to know my numbers. So I have got comfortable with my numbers so I can drive them forward.
Yeah, this is the tricky part, right? So you have to actually focus though on that high target row. You can't be saying to yourself, oh, it's okay if I don't hit it. I'm really just going for the mid target, or I'm really just going for the low target. We literally have to commit. And in the Scale Fast program, we do a lot of work around helping people understand what commit means. We have to commit our outflow activity levels to the high target to give ourselves a chance of bringing it to life and achieving it. Because as Alison said, if you land somewhere between the mid and the high, you're still going to have a record year. But if you actually in your mindset said, I'm not really going for the high target, your activity level will match that, and you actually won't even hit your mid target. So you have to do the math. You make the decision on your stretch growth target. You decide that. So again, I said 75% in that example. Let's say you don't have a brand new offering and you said, okay, well, I'm just going to go for 5% more over the mid target. All right. So I've got my $700 offer, which we used as the example before. Well, I still got to sell two a day, right? If I'm doing 5 days per week, or I got to go to 6 days per week, or I got to go to 7 days per week if I don't want to have to sell it. I still need to sell for the high target. I still need to sell two per day because that's just like these first two are one I could get away with, but I got to work 7 days a week. This tool helps you work this stuff out. If you said, "Hey, I only want to be working 4 days a week," guess what? Your daily target just went up for how many you need to sell. This is the math. Now, this only works in an American accent, so I apologize. Right? This only works in an American accent, but the math is the path. Because if you say the math is the path, our accent just doesn't work for that, right? So the math is the path. You have to do the math to get there. Anything to wrap that section up there, Alison? And when we get to Q&A, if you've got any specific Q&A questions about using that tool for your business, we're going to be happy to take them. That'll just be in a few minutes' time. Alison, anything extra to add?
No, I think we've covered a lot of information there for everybody and that importance of tracking and measuring. This is setting, and we're not talking about pie in the sky. That's why we break it all the way down to daily so that you know what you need to do every day. And then you work out through the wheel, right? Then it's the implementation of the wheel and every one of those steps in order to hit that target. And you can do a self-assessment. Okay, where am I at on this wheel? Where's my deficit? Where do I need to start on this wheel? Everyone here may be at different points. But if you look at your goal and your target, right, that you've just said, if you look at that high goal and target, what's the first thing that I need to do on this wheel for my business? Where am I missing? And sometimes we think we're missing, so you might be missing sales, but if we think backwards, well, maybe it's because you don't have enough leads, right? Or is it have plenty of leads, but you're not converting? So then there's always a step somewhere in there that you will be missing. And this goes around in circles. It doesn't matter the size of your business. It doesn't matter how many times you keep going around the wheel, because once you've got round to number 7, it's a new target. It's a new phase. So that's why it's a wheel, because it's a circle. It never actually ends.
Yeah, yeah. It keeps sort of, if you think of going up a set of stairs, but the stairs get wider and wider and wider as you head, a bit like what a cyclone looks like. That's how this looks like from the bottom view, looking up as you work your way around it in your business over time. And again, if you're not clear on your targets, you're probably not clear on your offers. If you're not clear on your offers, then whatever marketing you're doing, whether it's organic or paid, is your marketing is going to be off. It's going to be out of whack because you're not clear about who you're marketing to for the offers that you've got. And then you're not going to be capturing the right leads or enough leads. You probably won't be doing the lead management. You won't be getting the sales that you want. Like um, just type the letter M in the chat if you'd like to make more revenue in your business this year. M is for me. I would like to make more revenue in my business this year, right? Because we are in business here, folks. All right, great. It's good to see that. We've got folks. Thank you, Oliver, Anita, and Melanie there. Thank you, Tom, as well, and Haley. Like we want to make more. We want to make more revenue, and it doesn't mean that we're money hungry, but to a degree, you need to be money hungry in business to be able to serve people, to create the life you want. we Alison and I are massive believers as to why do we do this? That when local and small to medium businesses are doing well, the families are happier. And when the families are happier, you're contributing to your local community in a better way. Many of you would be sponsoring local clubs and activities locally. For example, we're helping the local economy because we're making more money. It's actually better for Australia and or New Zealand, depending on where you live, for local small to medium businesses to be doing well. And that's why Alison and I are so passionate about helping you be successful in your business, because too many small businesses aren't making it. And it doesn't have to be that way. There's too many small businesses that are lacking this knowledge, lacking a model like this that we know works, and then just applying it to their own business. They're doing a lot of hard work, but they're unfortunately doing a lot of not smart work, right? And we want to help change that. So we mentioned would have an offer at the start of the day. So our Scale Fast program happens on Tuesday evenings. We promise 48 sessions over a 12-month period. Okay, they're currently on a Tuesday evening, and it depends on your time zone. But if you're in New South Wales, Victoria, or Tasmania, it's at 8 p.m. Queensland, it is at 7 p.m. It's 5 p.m. in Perth, and I always get confused with Northern Territory. And I know that it's currently at 7:30 p.m. in Adelaide, and it's at 10 p.m. in New Zealand time. So they're the different times. They go for roughly 45 minutes, give or take 5 minutes. We educate, we practice. We also have our exclusive What's Out accountability Facebook groups where members share what they're committing to and other members support them. For example, people are allowed to share a social media post that we swarm to help them get some attention in that marketing piece. So we do that for each other. There's additional resources that are constantly coming throughout the year. We do a weekly deep dive in the 10x math, mindset, marketing, sales, and follow up. It's access to all session recordings, including our webinars that we do as well, like this one. So the recording for this, our Scale Fast group members get access. There's over 105 hours and growing in there of content. I'm going to show you that vault. We call it the vault in a second. Our offer is currently $297 per month. You are only committing for a maximum of 2 months if that's what you choose to join us, because you have to give us 30 days exit. So if you decide to cancel in the first month, you're up for a maximum of $494, $594, sorry, over 2 months if you choose to do that. It's otherwise $597 per month. You've got 48 hours from today's close of this webinar to accept that offer. In the chat, I will put the link right now for you to be able to access that. If you would like to accept that offer, you can see it's also on the presentation as well. It's businessgrowthdownunder.com.
I've already put it in there.
Oh, you've already put it in. Great.
Yep, it's there.
Okay, fantastic. Thanks, Alison. So businessgrowthdownunder.com to access that, folks. Again, if you've got any questions about that, we're happy to take them. So what I will also do is I'm going to show you the vault. So I want to show you what our members get access to with that 105 hours that already exists. So when you come into the vault and you go in there, you'll see that there's a welcome, there's how to navigate the vault, and this week's recording. So always the current week's recording is always immediately at the top. You're going to see, oh, this looks like it follows the wheel. And there's a reason for that, because this is the basic business system that we use. These are all of the sessions that are recorded with other resources, and I'll show you them in a second. 10x idea target. Then we've got 10x mindset. Now, a lot of the work, as we mentioned before, about marketing and sales, for example, is about mindset. So we do a lot of work about mindset. Alison spoke at the start about business is not just about the business. It's also about other elements of your life. That's what the 10X Super Life exercise is. We have these 13 rules of success that come from Grant Cardone himself, self-made, $5.5 billion business, impacting tens of thousands of people positively around the world. The 13 rules of success, they absolutely work, and so on and so on and so on. There's so much content. Then we go into our marketing attention. You'll see we have a heap of content here. How to create your offers, how to identify your core product menu, reactivating your power base, simple sales funnel, messaging, 12 ways to get new business. The list goes on. How to create a LinkedIn newsletter, etc. 10x leads. So how do you convert your leads faster? How do you use LinkedIn for business owners? Then this story braid framework, which is extremely powerful for how you speak with people to help them connect with you. Pat Quinn has taught Anthony Robbins, Grant Cardone, and many other people who sell from stage and speak from stage how to speak and present themselves. Pat Quinn's an extraordinary. We have direct access to Pat through our network. 10x lead management, which is the follow up. You've got all of these resources about, well, how do I do follow up properly? How do I do that 15 to 40 follow ups that we mentioned earlier for 80% of closes? Then Alison spoke before about the 10x sales. The first sale is to yourself. I mentioned that earlier. The 7 requirements for a close. Whenever you're going to close someone, if you cannot tick off all of these 7 elements, they will not buy with you. You probably don't know what they are right now. We teach our members what the 7 requirements are for a close. So when you're in that conversation, you're mentally ticking them off and you're able to go and make some clarity about what the next step will be if one of them's missing, for example. Then we have 10x Manage the Money, which is where we share Grant Cardone's lessons about money. He was in poverty and now he's a multi-billionaire. He's learned some lessons that the wealthy families in the world don't like him sharing about how money actually works. He's on a mission to teach the rest of the world the secrets that the really uber wealthy know that they've kept from us. And we have the privilege to be able to share some of those rules. Then, of course, the last step of the wheel is 10x scale. We have our original webinar series that Alison and I started this all 2 years ago. We're into our 3rd year now, just starting now. Then all of our 10x webinars. As you can see, we've got our Scale Core Agency, which is a brand new offering that Alison and I are launching next month. The book that started it all, the 10x rule, we go through where we explain all of the chapters in that. Then, of course, there's the 10x sales professional for those. Some of our members are sales professionals. They're not actually running a business, but they are in the sales industry. So we've got the sales professionals program. Then all of the resources by Alison and I. Folks, there is a ton of information in there. So once again, that's businessgrowthdownunder.com. That takes us to any questions. Who'd like to raise your hand so we prioritise folk that are in our program as VIPs and anyone else who's got your camera on. If you'd like to ask Alison and I a question, we're more than happy to take some questions and answer them for you. So please feel free. You'll find that in the React button down the bottom of your Zoom screen, if you click on that, you've got a raise hand option. And so you can raise your hand and Alison and I will be more than happy to answer some questions. See, Melanie, you're listening to the 10x rulebook. That's awesome.
Nice work, Melanie. Or a main takeaway, if anyone has a takeaway. So a question or a takeaway. Is there anyone that would like a question, or is there anyone that would like to share a main takeaway, something they've learned and are going to utilize and implement from today? Melanie, you've got a question? Awesome.
I just recently got back from America and I attended a 10X Business Summit of Grant Cardone's for 3 days, and it was one of the best things that I've done. And that's how I came across both of you and why I'm in this today, because I wanted to see what you guys have taken from the coaching that he's been offering, because I'm considering doing it myself, to be honest. And it's great to hear that there's only 2 other people in Australia. I'm based in Brisbane. And I'm very interested in everything that you guys do and all the rest of it. And I'd be interested in talking to you maybe after this at some point, just to see how things were for you and why you chose the 10X. And obviously I know why I'm attracted to it, and I can see why you are as well. I have this big booklet from it that I've been going over. But yes, so not really a question about your program, unfortunately, sorry, but I would like to connect with you at some point if I can.
Yeah, sure. Just shoot us a message and we'll set up a Zoom.
Yeah, perfect. Thank you.
Awesome. Thanks, Melanie. And Helen has asked a question. Do we get access to the targets tool when we sign up? Yes. Yes, you sure do. Absolutely. Any other questions? Questions or takeaways?
Yeah, I have one question. And maybe I missed it with doing your targets and the stretch growth target. How do you know what to put in there, realistically, the percentage?
That's based off your numbers.
So like at the moment it's 10%, but if you say like if you're going like 10x or 100%, like
it's purely a choice. You
yeah.
want to then look at the numbers, look at that low, medium, and high.
Yeah.
Put in that when you put it the percentage, then look at those numbers and then work out what, based off the time and energy you're going to put into your business, which is that 10%? Do you think that's what you want to set that as? Or are you going to go for a higher percentage? That's your choice.
Yeah.
Purely going to be driven by you.
Yeah. Yeah. So like two examples. I got one client, their numbers month to the month are actually really close. So what that meant when we did the formula is the low and the mid targets were actually really super close.
Yeah.
So in that instance, they said, look, you know what? I haven't been swinging the bat hard enough. I'm going to go for 50%. Another client, 2 separate months, massive standouts, like 3x what the rest of the pretty much what the rest of the year was. So already when you use the formula, the low target and the mid target were already significantly higher than what they'd ever achieved before. They only went for 5% growth on upscale on the high target in that instance.
Because you got to look at your business and it all like the time you're putting into it, size of your business, scalability. I have clients who set that at 2 or 3%, and I have clients who consider, like Gary said, at 50, because it depends on them and their business and the seasonality of their business or their time they're putting into their business. Some people have their business more like a hobby. Others, it's a full-time thing. Some people, in order to go up 10%, they might have to hire another 5 staff. Now, they might not be able to do that in 12 months, like to get good stuff. So it really, you also need to kind of look at your business model. There's not a right or wrong, but whatever number you put in there, you commit yourself to it.
And just to show Helen, right? So inside the targets area, so this is actually the section where the tool is. So when people come into this particular recording from the Scale Pass program, it's in the category of idea target. It's a 2026 goals and targets section. It's got we always do a tip of the day, so you get to download that. So over here in the files and the file for the actual resource. I know it says PDF, but it's actually the Excel spreadsheet that you get access to. So it's immediately downloadable and usable for you. And that's just an example of what all of the recordings actually look like. So again, there's different ways to navigate your way around the vault. This one just takes you to the next one. So if I wanted to do 10x mindset definition, I get again my download over here in the files. I get to play the recording. There we go. Let's get a pen and paper. You can actually scroll your way through if you want to. Mark completed once you've done it, so you can record and see your progress. We get to see that on the back end as well. So again, thank you for that question in the chat. So do we have any final questions from anyone?
Yeah, Tom's just put 2
Tom,
questions.
let's go. Let's go.
So he's asked, do you want to ask them?
Yeah, sure thing. When you have a client who's paying 1,000 a month and hesitates, what's your number one objection destroyer, Gary? What do you?
So I need a bit more information. So what are you selling?
I'm in IT.
Okay, you're in IT. Great. Yep.
Yeah.
Okay, and what's the product?
AI agents.
Okay, AI agents, even better, right? So how long has the client hesitated for?
So pretty much when dealing with new clients and stuff, I just want to know like what is the like your 10x, like with what Alison was saying, add a 0 to your monthly goals on for the target. What how can I overcome the objection or from the hesitant
Well, for starters, okay, just quickly, one of the things we teach is every objection you should treat as a complaint to start with. They're only complaining that they don't have the right time or it's not the right time, right? So I'll just give you a quick story. Had been a client, but been 2 years since we'd actually done business together, Tom. He contacts me out of the blue in July last year and says, oh, yeah, we want to do business. I then get back to him in contact, attempt to get in contact as quickly as I can. And he ghosts me, right? It ends up being October when we finally get to have a call. and I like, and I finally get him. And this is the follow up you got to do, even with people that you've sold to before, and even after you've sold to them before, and they come back to you, and they can still ghost you, and you still got to do all this follow up stuff. So I get on a call, and Tom, he says to me, I got this issue, really, it's really important that we get it. We want to get it done. I said, great, let's lock something in before Christmas. Oh, no, I'm thinking of February next year. Now, you just asked me what was my power question. I just said, why would you want to give your competition a 5-year head start on you for 2026? And then I shut up. And he's like, now that that question was a hard question, and it was a deliberate question. He's like, what? I'm only talking a few months, Gary. It's only 4 months. It's not 5 years. What era are we in? And then I shut up again. What era are we in, folks? And Tom, your business is in this era. What's the era, folks?
Mm.
We're in the AI era,
Mm.
right? His name started with G2. So I said, G, why would you want to give your competition a 5-year head start over the next 4 months when you know you need to do this now? We need to do this in the next 2 weeks. Here's a date. Let's lock this in. He went, you're right. Let's lock it in. Now, not only did that happen, he owns a franchise. I've never worked with any of the other franchises before. The next day, he introduces me to the head of the franchise unit, and we ended up doing a session with all the franchisees on it, and I doubled my revenue from that call. And now I've got three of his staff that I'm now coaching throughout 2026. And all of that, now that's all locked in, and that wasn't going to happen until February. So that was like, you got to have these armament of questions, which is what we teach our clients, is for your business. What are the hard questions you got to be prepared to ask? Now, was I unreasonable in the pressure that I applied? Actually, most people would probably say, yes, I was. And I'm comfortable with that.
It's
I'm
you've got to
comfortable
get,
with it
that's
because
right, you've got to get comfortable.
yeah, he needs my service, and it would have been dumb of him to wait, quite simply.
The other thing with objections as well is there's only ever one objection, and most often it's not the one they're telling you. Your job is to find the one objection. You cannot close unless you get the true one objection. And then the first thing you do, two parts of objection handling, you got to agree. The second part is the first rule of all objections is you create all objections in other people. You have to take full responsibility. So I would question, where are you hesitating, John? Where in your life are you hesitating? Where you're going, well, I should do that, but I'm not. I should do that, but I'm not. Where and how often are you doing that? Because every time you do that, and every time a customer does that to you, you'll now go into agreement with them, and it's almost impossible for you to handle it. Clean it up in your own life first, so that then when you do get it with someone else, like Gary has been, you can be unreasonable, if we want to call it that, with that person, right? We can hold ground because we aren't accepting that kind of behavior within our own selves. So I would question, Tom, where are you hesitating? For example, do you think, I should join that Scale Fast program? But I don't know if I will, right? Well, your customers are going to keep doing that to you till you can become more decisive and go after what you want. So clean up in yourself that hesitation in which you keep experiencing, because if you keep experiencing it, I can just about guarantee that you are doing it.
Yeah.
Thank you.
The other thing quickly on that, Tom, is in reality, you'll be missing the 7 requirements for the close, and you don't know that you're missing it. So even before you get to having to handle that, in inverted commas, objection that I said to treat as a complaint, is if you knew what the 7 requirements of the close were in the first place, you would have already handled this issue, because it would have popped itself up, and you would have known that you needed to get it, right? Now, what's also interesting is very often you've got to ask people to go to a higher level product. The real issue is that you're selling too cheap a product that's actually not going to deliver on what they need. And what most small to medium business owners do is they go down in price, down in the offer, when they actually should have gone to their top offer. Like the number of times that, Alison and I closed people on 12-month programs when they came in on exploring a 3-month, but a 3-month was not going to solve their problem. They're hesitating. You offer the 12-month, that does solve the problem, and they sign up, and it's a better deal too. So there's plenty of things like that. We are going to wrap up the call.
We look forward to seeing you in the program, Tom, so we can teach you all of those things.
100%.
Thank you so much.
Honestly, you do the math on the discount from $5.97 per month to $2.97. Some significant math on that. You got 48 hours from the close of this. So thank you all for turning up.
Congratulations. Just a quick congratulations to Helen, who has taken the leap already and signed up while we've been on the call. So well done, Helen. That is awesome work. I will, she just needed a link, but we'll post that link to be able to sign up again. I'll do that now so that for those of you who actually want that, actually, Gary, can you repost that link? It's not copied.
Yes.
Let's repost that link in the chat.
Businessgrowthdownunder.com. Businessgrowthdownunder.com, folks. That will take you straight there. And for those of you, so Justina, only members get the slides of the presentation and access to the recording. So great that you've turned up live, but if you we've given real value, as you've seen. We've taught you the formulas that sit behind that tool. You can do that for yourself, but the best thing is to come and join us, Justina, and you will also get access to all of those tools. Now, we do have members, just by the way, like that the live sessions from a time zone point of view are a challenge. You've still got access to the entire vault, 105 hours, and via the chat, we can help you to be able to do that. There you go, ma'am. You're so awesome and an inspiration. That is for Alison Wheeler. She certainly is. She inspires me every single day. All right. No worries, Justina. Yeah, look, understand from the UK. And so our time at 8 p.m. Australian Eastern Daylight Savings Time would be midday for you. For our Scale Fast program, you're welcome to join us. You might find that the British pound converts very well to Australian dollars too, by the way. So you've got that as well. All right, folks. Thank you for joining us. We will wrap it up. We would like to wish you all the very best with your businesses. Thank you, Helen, for joining. Tom, we're excited to see you come along too. And also, Justina, you are welcome to join us. Thanks, everyone, for being on the call. Oliver, Tom, we have had Mark as well. Great to see you, Mark. Michael, thank you for being a VIP. Marcus, Justina, Haley, of course, a VIP. We've got Axwa and also Alison and myself. Thanks for coming along, folks. We'll see you again next time.
Thanks, everyone. See you next time.